Our intention today is to honour Peter, a wonderful father, brother, son, brother-in-law, and just a downright good bloke. The words, just if you would like to sing along, the band's going to sing a couple of songs. Thank you, team.
The first song we're going to sing is called Open the Eyes of My Heart. This is for you, Pete.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Bless the Lord, oh my soul. Oh my soul. Worship his holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, I'll worship your holy name. Yes, I'll worship your holy name. I'll worship your holy name.
Pete had a great influence on these guys, and these guys had a great influence on him.
And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Hey everybody. Go back to the 70s with Pete, and he asked me to read these verses. The Apostles' letter to the Romans, it says, if you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart one believes unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. And I know where Pete is right now. So his other one was James chapter 4 verses 7. Therefore submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. And the last one that he hung on to right till the end, it was Psalms 117 verse 18. I shall not die but live and declare the works of the Lord. We all live forever, and we all get a choice where to live. You've got to make a decision this side. It's too late when you get over there. Pete found that out, and he's with the Lord right now. And I can assure everybody that's here just knows he's a good bloke, and he's a great man, and he's with Jesus right now. Thank you, guys.
Many people walk in and out of our lives, but only true friends like Pete leave footprints in our hearts. Rune, forever alive. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. See you again in heaven, Rune. Love you, brother. Thank you.
I knew Pete as a baby, growing up in a neighbourhood in North Brisbane, a cross between suburban country. We made cubby houses, tree houses out of tin and timber with hessian bag curtains, underground cubbies with secret compartments.
I'm Bob. For anyone that doesn't know me, I'm Peter's older brother. His health deterioration was ridiculously rapid. He had a considerable amount of stress in his final weeks, but waltzed through it without a backward step. He took it in his stride. It's important that I can relay on to all of you that he passed away in peace without pain. This thanks to the fantastic work of the Dove Palliative Care Unit. The last hours of Peter's life were unbelievable. He reacted with such warmth every time one of us was close and holding his hand, even though he was in a really heavily drugged state. He knew we were there. I take my hat off to Peter's children, Lani, Kyle, Jarvis. They rallied for their father when things were down, 24/7. They provided happiness, assistance, nutrition, mental support, whatever was needed, they were there. And they stuck to him like glue right through the last months. I've seen them evolve through this process, and they've really grown up into fine young adults. They've really reinforced their strengths. Another classic of Pete's life was the New Year's Eve day, and Dad, you'll remember this. He came home and woke both myself and Dad up and said, "Look, I need a hand to get my car home, it's stuck." And we went, "Oh yeah, where is it?" He said, "Oh, you know, it's near the bays." Oh. So we went to the bays and no car. And we said, "Well, where's your car?" And he went, "Down there." Go to the side. And sure enough, here's his Falcon station wagon parked perfectly at second bay, just below the steps, on the sand. You know, we're just gobsmacked. How the hell do you manage to get a car down there? What had transpired is Peter and his girlfriend at the time had, after the night at the surf club, decided to go to the picnic table and do a bit of canoodling. They were obviously so eager and maybe a little inebriated that they forgot to put the car in gear and pull the handbrake on. So in the middle of whatever they were doing, they turned round to see the car just sliding over the edge. The thing went all the way down, rolled once, landed perfectly on the beach. If that had happened these days, it would have killed someone, because I think there's people 24/7 on second bay. We got Clayton's towing in. The guy was amazed. He said, "Oh, yeah, this is amazing." And he said, "I don't know how I'll go," but he hooked on a tow rope, dragged the thing back up the hill. I got in it, fired it up, first shot. We drove home, had breakfast, had a few more beers, and I think about a month later, Peter drove that car over to Kalbarri and back again. Amazing. Okay, so our family really sincerely thanks Rod and the members of this church. This has been a fantastic morning. I don't think we could have done it better. The Coolum board riders, of course. The Dove Palliative Care Unit of Cloundra, they were fantastic. I've never met a better bunch of medical people. And the countless people, you people that have always been there for Peter and mates of Peter's. Rest in peace, my little brother. We will be united someday. You'll be severely missed. I love you, brother.
Okay. My dad had such an amazing life, and it's through the help of people in this room that made it so. So thank you for being a part of him and the man he became. Especially want to thank those who were with him week after week in the end, supporting him and our family. He helped us forget he was sick and helped him stay strong. These last few months, Dad spent most of his time on our veranda, listening to the wind chimes, drinking tea and reading his Bible. Most days we'd sit out there with him and we'd talk and listen to his stories, the ones that were too naughty or crazy to tell us till now. He justified himself by saying, "I just liked fun," and being where fun was. And if there's anything that describes my dad, it's that. He was never afraid to make jokes at his own expense, or about looking silly, whether it was dressing up in crazy outfits or playing walk this way and wiggling his bum through the grocery store aisles, or poking his clown horn out the window and honking the whole way down Coolum High Road. He constantly made us laugh and embarrassed the crap out of us in the process. His arms have always been the safest place in the world. Not once during my life or my travels through Australia or abroad have I ever felt truly scared, because I've always known his arms were there to run back to if I needed them. I went surfing with the family at Yurumba a couple of days ago, and I could feel him everywhere, yelling at me to paddle hard and go it, and cheering my waves. His voice was everywhere. And it was the best surf I've ever had. I caught waves I'm normally too scared to catch, and made tricks I've never been able to make. I caught wave after wave and carved them all the way to the beach. And I was laughing and crying. And I could feel Dad with me the whole time, nudging me into place and steadying me when I wobbled. There's so many things I could say, but mostly I just want to say how proud I am to be his daughter. He taught me not to take things seriously, and to be loud, and to laugh loud, be damned where you are, all the time. To sing with gusto to the radio, and to dance in the kitchen. That growing old is a blessing, and to one day wear each wrinkle and grey hair with pride. That it's important to tell the people you love how you feel every day, because he certainly did. He's the first man my heart ever felt love for, and he showered me with his love every day. I've been told a lot lately that life is hard and unfair, but it is beautiful. And it's true, and it's people like my dad who make it so. Thank you.
Well done, man. Killed it. It's beautiful.
You want to go first?
You go. Absolutely.
There are many things I could say about my father. So many things that were important to him, so many things that he had done, was doing, and was going to do. But as is always the case in life, there is simply not enough time. Not enough time to talk of all that should be talked of. Not enough time to say everything that must be said. So I will tell you a small part of who my father was and why we loved him so. When I think of Dad, there are three things that spring to mind. The first was, of course, just how bloody stubborn he was. If someone told him he couldn't do something, then the first thing he would do was think of how he could and why he should. He was not an easy man to say no to. For if he had a plan of where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do, then the reason why it wasn't the best of ideas and the knowledge of the amount of obstacles in the way would not matter in the face of his rising excitement. His plans were not always the smartest plans, and they were very rarely the safest. But they were almost always the funnest. Many a great story was formed from a bad plan and my dad's stubbornness to see it succeed. The second thing that comes to mind is the boundless energy he had. I don't think I've come close to matching it since the age of 10. Despite his short stature, he sure did seem to take up a lot of room. It can often be hard for a child to figure out that your parent had an entire life outside your own. However, this was something we found out fairly quickly. He had so many friends arriving all the time from so many different places, each of them sharing so many different stories, that it seemed to me more as if Dad had lived 3 lifetimes outside of ours. The last thing I'll speak of about my father is his love. More than any man I've ever met, my dad loved life. It filled him up inside. But he understood a truth that many others forget. Love is not something that should be hoarded. It is something that you get more of the more you give away. Peter was a man who loved his friends, and in return, his friends loved him. He was a man who loved his brothers and their family, and in return, they loved him. He was a man who loved his parents, and in return, they loved him. He was a man who loved his children, and in return, we love him. There are many things that my father taught me in this life, but there are 3 that I will always remember. A bad plan does not make a bad time, as long as you're determined. A life that is shorter than some does not mean that it is any less full. And that those that love many will have many love them in return. Thank you.
I'm gonna try play a song that I wrote for Dad, so I'll see if I can get it out.
Saw your face appear from the sea on a day where no one was seen, sharing waves all the way. And I know we were not ashamed. It's baby blue crashing waves. Been so long since we felt your sway. Starry skies above our eyes tells the stories lost in time. Going fishing with your Phoebe rod that you won in a surfing comp. All those brim, you always wore the biggest grin. So now you're riding a perfect wave, baby blue every day. And all we need to do is look up above to receive your love. Thanks, Dad. Rest in peace.
His faith never wavered. Through the last few months of the biggest challenge you could ever imagine, he stayed strong, dignified, and safe in the knowledge that God had a bigger plan for him. He had no idea what that plan was, but he simply put his faith and his trust in God's hands. What a peace and strength that gave him. Lastly, I'd just like to say that Peter's other great love was his children and his family. No man could have been prouder or cared more deeply for his kin. Yes, he left this world way too soon, but what a blessing he was to all of us that had the privilege to know him.
Pete will be so proud of you kids and his family and everybody here. 2 weeks ago, Pete was on oxygen, and we had our Morton Island men's camp coming up, which he'd booked in so that him and the boys could come along. And he's going, well, let's just put it off for another week, because I don't want to cancel yet, because, you know, this was a week before he passed away. He was still coming, carrying his oxygen bottle. Whatever it took, he was going to come, because you know why? Because he wanted to be there with you guys. He wanted to spend so much time with you.